Hi, we're at IBC 2025 and we're at the OWC booth and I'm talking to Larry O'Connor, right?
Yes, sir.
The CEO of OWC?
Founder, CEO, something like that.
It's great to see you here at the show. You have a fantastic booth and first of all, thank you for actually being our sponsor for the show. It allows us to do the work that we're doing here. And I think that we're going to talk a little bit about some of the products that you have here on the booth. Maybe the first one is this very interesting Thunderbolt 5 dock. So what can you tell me about this?
Certainly, this is the first dock ever to have multiple Ethernet ports, and not just multiple Ethernet ports, but 10G dual. So you have two 10G ports on the back. It also provides a complement of downstream Thunderbolt 5 ports. So one port in, 3 ports out for Thunderbolt 5, lots of connectivity, USB ports. The two 10Gs, which on a Mac are plug and play and go. Now they're built into Mac OS on Windows, a very simple driver installation, which is very standard.
They can also be aggregated, right?
Yes, can be aggregated. You can use them for multiple networks, assign multiple VLANs rather to the ports. On the front, we have a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, which again could be a third network interface. The other purpose, the reason we put 2.5 on this and put it on the front, had a lot of customers, a lot of feedback where in these different workflows, there's devices that need to be configured over Ethernet. And rather than having to reach around to a port or have something just hanging out waiting for connection, now you have this available for those updates, for those configurations, right on the front of the dock. A couple other nice ports, another USB, another USB-C, but the primary purpose of this dock is to provide you with network connectivity. This is the first dock ever to provide those dual 10Gs, let alone a third 2.5G port. And it just gives it a massive amount of flexibility. It fully supports Dante, NDI, all these different workflows, whether they're single network point or you want to support multi-networks or aggregate, as you noted, this dock does it, and all through one single Thunderbolt port. It's compatible with Thunderbolt 3 and Thunderbolt 4 systems. There's more than enough bandwidth on those machines to support the dual NICs and the 2.5G and functionality up to roughly 28 gigabits. And then you have Thunderbolt 5, which just sets the world. Thunderbolt 5 is not necessary for everybody, but if you're in a workflow where you have high-speed data, multiple displays.
It's also future-proofing, which is always good.
Sure, or even the future-proofing, but it's not so much, the bandwidth of Thunderbolt 5 is amazing. It's the flexibility of how you connect that really changes the game with Thunderbolt 5. Thunderbolt 4, a single display connected through your device with, you have data on that same port, it's encroaching on your data. There's not enough bandwidth in Thunderbolt 3 and 4 to support a high-speed device like our ThunderBlade, which will max out a Thunderbolt 3 and 4 bus and a display. You plug a display into that same port, you're cutting that performance in half or worse, just because display always trumps. If your display doesn't light up, that's a priority. Thunderbolt 5, you can have our ThunderBlade X12, which is twice the speed of what Thunderbolt 3 and 4 can do, over 6,000 megs a second, rolling through your system, and even have a couple displays, and potentially even a 10G port going, and still have that full bandwidth.
So you're secure that you have all the information that you need coming into this and going into the computer, or either from screens, storage, we'll talk about storage in a second, or network. So
correct. It's amazing flexibility.
Yeah.
I say flexibility because you can walk, if you are a laptop workflow, one port connects you to everything, as opposed to having to come in and kind of manage your ports so that everything works up to speed. And then you have other ports. In most Thunderbolt 5 machines, there's a different channel in each port for additional devices, additional performance. Run a couple of ThunderBlade X12s off a single machine, and you've got the power to do so. So it's amazing. I like it. I think the technology is very impressive, and the 80-120 is really a special thing. With Thunderbolt 4, you had at Thunderbolt 3, you're encroaching on your data bandwidth when you plug displays in.
You don't have the problem you don't have this problem in here. 3 and 4 basically are providing more or less the same bandwidth, and 5 has the big jump twice basically, or more than twice the bandwidth that you had before. Yeah,
because not just the data, you get on top for display. If you didn't have the 80-120, if you did plug a display in, you see kind of the same thing you have with Thunderbolt 4 right now. It'd be in Thunderbolt 3, you'd have higher data, but you still have an encroachment. But Thunderbolt 5 adds an extra 40 gigabits dedicated just to downstream video. So when you plug in a 5K, even a couple 5Ks, even a couple of 6Ks, you still have all the data bandwidth. So
that's very important.
It's amazing. You go from a single 4K,
all on a single cable.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Very powerful.
Question, this is already on the market?
This just began shipping earlier this week. It's an IBC announcement. It is shipping right now today.
Pricing?
$499 US.
Okay,
So
that's
it's
cool.
a pretty impressive price point for
all that you're getting. It's only the 10 gigs on a card is like, if it was just a dedicated unit that does this, will cost probably a couple of $100 or more, at least.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
if you don't have a PCIe slot,
yeah,
you go an external Thunderbolt, you're looking at you may be looking at $400 just to put
just for these,
on.
yeah. So that's
or more.
Yeah.
So this is dual neck, actually technically triple neck, plus downstream Thunderbolt ports, plus USBs, a lot of capability in a single solution, and an amazing product for network connectivity.
And I think that in terms of like cooling, it has passive cooling, but it's all metal. If I like just by touching it.
Yeah, there's actually some convection because of the spacing between the top of this surface and then this extra kind of raise.
Yeah.
And it's all the components inside dissipate passively very effectively through the solution.
Yeah, that's very important because these things run, they can run hot, both 10 gigs and the Thunderbolt 5.
Thunderbolt 5.
Yeah.
The original the first Pro Dock that we shipped was back in 2017, and it actually had a fan in it. It was an optional fan for the 10G. If you're in 10G mode, you only had to turn it on if you're using 10G. And in 2019, 2020, we redesigned that for different thermal efficiencies and really did a lot of research, a lot of work in R&D to get the thermals right, so no fan was required. Number one, fans can make noise.
Of course,
but they're a point of failure.
Yeah,
and that's
point of failure, and you have the noise, which in a production environment is not a good thing. Anyway,
right. And most fans start out quiet, but especially a small fan in a confined space, a little bit of dust, a little bit off balance, noise begins.
Yeah.
You don't want a point of failure. We actually make a huge effort across all of our products to eliminate the use of fans where they're not necessary.
Yeah.
And in our hard drive solutions, which a fan is really there just as an extra protection, we use oversized fans that we can actually run at a much slower speed. The fans never make more noise than the drive. The fans are such that, I've had our ThunderBlades for years. Those fans, just because of what we have overspec'd in the unit, they always stay quiet. Noise is an issue, but where we can avoid a fan, we avoid a fan.
I'm all for that,
Let's prevent a point, especially something like this, or an SSD solution that's compact. We want to not have that point of failure.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about some other products that we have here. You mentioned, I think, to me before the interview, something about this.
Sure. This is our Thunderbolt 5 Envoy Ultra. This is the fastest certified Thunderbolt solution in the world. Actually, I won an award here last year. This currently goes up to 4 terabytes and gives you data rates of over 6,000 megs a second bus power. The write speeds support the peak write speeds for longer than it would be for more data than an ingest of a media card. So it's really great for field ingest. It's faster than right now anything you can ingest from. It's also really powerful for doing backups and duplications.
Yeah.
It speeds after you pass through the initial cache, which is a pretty substantial amount. Still maintain speeds of up to 1,800 megs a second. Depending upon the model, is 1,800 megs a second, which is very good. But you get peak speeds of over 6,000 megs a second on the write. And then for read, the entire drive will read at over 6,000 megs a second.
That's for an external drive. That's fantastic.
A single drive, again, no fan.
It still doesn't cap. Like if you're looking at NVMe, I think 5, you still have like twice that amount. Like you can go up to 12, like inside a computer.
But
we're not there yet. But
right, and those speeds, just like in an external, just like any single drive, you get that for a portion of the drive, and then
it drops down. Yeah, of course.
Which is just the nature of flash, which is not a problem.
Yeah.
Because then we move on. If you need sustained data speed, if you're doing large transfers, you're doing ingest from camera, whatever it may be, VRAR. This is our ThunderBlade X12. This model was shipping up to 48 terabytes until just a week ago. This
is obviously flash, right?
It's an NVMe array. It's now up to 96 terabytes.
Wow.
So 96 terabytes in this passively cooled enclosure. This product's been shipping for roughly 9 months now, up to 48 terabyte. The 96 terabyte
is the new version.
Is the new capacity.
Yeah.
Same solution, just a doubling of capacity.
This is also Thunderbolt 5.
This is Thunderbolt 5. It is compatible again with Thunderbolt 3.4, but in Thunderbolt 5, end to end, this will give you 6,000 megabytes a second. Even in some applications, higher than 6,000 megabytes. Wow. That's end-to-end performance, no slowdown. It's also redundant. It ships with, you can use it in just at full capacity, JBOD or RAID 0, but it supports RAID 4, RAID 5 with
How many physical, like flash drives?
There's 12 individual
oh, wow.
units inside the solution. So when you run a RAID 4, RAID 5, you're giving up 1/12 of the storage. They have redundancy.
Ah, I see.
But the performance
it's basically a built-in, like, I don't know if we could call it a built-in RAID for like
the RAID we actually power through soft RAID, which provides, just to get everything. You're not limited to hardware. You're not even in a mode where, let's just say, somebody smashed this by accident. The drives inside are typically very well protected, but you're not dependent on a proprietary hardware
RAID,
controller.
Controller or whatever.
Yes. Number one, the software provides higher performance than a RAID controller.
I didn't know that. I always thought that the hardware RAID is faster than software RAID.
I would clarify to say any hardware RAID is a software RAID running on a chip that's inside the device. So technically, it's all software.
Yeah.
And then you're limited to what's inside the device and other factors. Yeah. There's software RAID on the computer built. There's a built-in software RAID on Windows, for example. It's pretty basic. The software that we've developed literally has this today is nearly a 3-decade legacy. It came out of EMC, has been used widely on Mac, and then was introduced for PC back around about 2018, 2019. We brought the software for Mac over to PC. It allows interoperability between a Mac and a PC, plug and play, which is very, very amazing. But the performance and the monitoring actually are above and beyond. And it allows you to evolve. It allows updates, improvements, higher RAID levels. Right now we support the RAID 5, RAID 6 is on the horizon. But the way we interface with the drive and a really smart, a RAID algorithm allows us to provide higher real performance. Just like we talked about with an SSD, a lot of RAID controllers give you a peak speed really early, but you're doing sustained, especially with hard drives. Not so much with SSDs, there's your full speed, but with hard drives, just the way the load on a controller in a hard drive environment, you see a peak speed. I mean, some of our competitors, we see, for example, with 8 hard drives, you see 1,800 megabytes a second.
Something like that, yeah.
In RAID 5.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about RAID 5. But after a certain amount, after they get through a memory cache, a lot of those guys dropped around 1,300 megs a second or lower.
Yeah.
Soft RAID continues to maintain.
So you get like sustained speeds.
You get a sustained speed that's in that 1,600 to 1,700 megs a second all the way across.
Yeah.
We do things, there's no flash in the pan. This is our interface speed. We show our real data performance and our specs online, what the drive is transferring at, and the solutions we provide that sustains throughput. And it's an exceptionally low load on the computer as well. There's been software.
Yeah, it doesn't, because originally software RAID takes a lot of the resources off the PC, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't use them or don't like them.
Well, that there's, how software is written makes a big difference.
Of course.
It's a tremendous impact in terms of the efficiency of the code, and there's very low-ware ways to do things. Some people tried stuff with GPUs a few years ago, and it gave software RAID a bad name, some of the really poor implementations. Soft RAID, which is our solution, again, 3 decades of legacy with software.
We have a lot of experience with that.
It's a very, powerful and well-developed application that provides exceptionally low load on the system and utilizes resources that, you breathe without thinking. And within the processors, there are, there's code that's optimized for what we do that's barely, barely impact, it is not impactful.
On the performance of the PC.
Yes.
So you have this, we talked about these, you have another drive over there, I think?
Sure.
Yeah.
And for customers that like to do a DIY, this is our Express 4M2. It's a high-speed USB 4 solution, so it works with any system with USB 3 or USB 4.
Yeah, Thunderbolt 5 is not that prevalent yet. In a few years probably, but USB 4 is, I think, more common. And I don't know if there are Thunderbolt 5 on AMD computers, for example, but USB 4 you do
this
have.
Is pretty universal. I mean, you can use this on a machine. Obviously the performance is limited to your USB interface.
Of course.
But whether you're on the latest machine, Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt 4, I should say, or Thunderbolt 5, you can get up to around 3,800 megs a second in a self-built array. If you're on an older machine, going back to 2012, you can plug this guy in, and you're at that point with USB 3, you're roughly 500-600 megs a second.
This is NVMe based, or?
This is NVMe based, and this is a solution that allows you to DIY. You can bring your own blades.
Ah, okay. So how many drives can you fit inside?
4 blades.
Okay.
Yeah, this product actually uses, on a consumer product, because we can't control what drives people put in the system. It is
Do you have
designed.
recommended drives?
Oh, of course, we recommend our drives, but
Yeah, oh, no, of course. But
it's and
there is a list of drives that you actually tested or something like
you
that?
can use any drives you want in the solution. And in fairness, when we do our arrays, there's a lot of customization that goes into firmware to optimize them for RAID. When you put something in a solution like this, you do get good performance, but we actually do a lot more.
The best performance will probably be with the drives that you tested and like adapted to make sure that it will work perfectly.
It's been optimized for, how to say, for an array use. That's something that the Node today, I mean, a few years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, you could put drives together, any drives together for the most part, and whatever their capability is, whatever their sustained performance was after cache. And a few years ago, we didn't even have to worry about cache. Everything was end to end. You would get a multiplication, near multiplication, about 90% of the combination of those 4 drives or 8 drives, whatever it is. Today, with the complexity of drives, what drives, how systems work, how the controllers work to actually get that single drive peak performance and then sustain, they're not really exceptionally suited for RAID. A lot of drives, when you RAID them in a RAID 4, RAID 5, even a RAID 0, you see you don't see an aggregation of the performance like you'd expect.
That's interesting. Okay.
You may get, I mean,
if you use like 4, I don't know, Samsung 9, whatever.
If that's what you wish to use, yes, you can put them together and rock and roll.
No, but what sort of speeds am I looking at with your drives or whatever? Like
with our drives, again, we can peak up to about 3,800 megs a second in this solution. And with the right drives, and again, it varies. There will be variance. 2,500, 3,500 megs. Read speed is never an issue. It's write speed.
Write speed, yeah.
Because the drives are optimized for single drive use. They don't necessarily like the alternating blocks. And
what sort of RAID can you use on this?
You can use up to RAID 5.
Ah, okay.
Even you can technically use RAID 6, 0 plus 1. RAID 6 would take 2 of your drives to RAID, so you do 0 plus 1 at that point.
But you lose,
Yeah. But for RAID 4, RAID 5, then you're losing 25% of your capacity to have redundancy, if you feel it's necessary. I mean, a really good strategy, in my opinion, with any of these types of solutions is to have physical spinning drives, which cost a lot less.
Yeah. As
your backup. And you
well, this is more, I would say, a work drive versus like a storage drive. Storage will probably go to like something like a spinning drive or a spinning array of drives. And this will probably be something that I will actually edit on or
absolutely. Yeah. I would call it a significant luxury to buy all flash for storage, that's kind of just static storage that's not being worked on. Spinning drive is definitely a better place for that. This is absolutely project space. Or you're doing big ingest. I mean, the other important space that all these types of drives are using are our ThunderBlades are almost a de facto standard in DIT and production. I mean, from the original ThunderBlade to the X8 up to X12, just because of the high speed and the ability to duplicate.
Because time is money at the end of the day, so
you're getting on this solution in production with the Thunderbolt 5 machine up to 23 terabytes an hour of write. So
that's fantastic.
That's insanely fast. And if you're trying to get the data set, you have to make a duplication. You have the ability to duplicate that data unbelievably fast, which is important. It means you're getting out, maybe before the sun is set instead of 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a difference.
This is already available like this?
Yes, this solution is available, shipping right now globally.
How much does it cost?
This product's $239.99.
That's
very reasonable.
Very reasonable for a 4-drive, if you have like your own drives, or you can write with your drives as well?
We do not pre-equip this.
Okay.
I mean, we consider this is kind of a...
it's a DIY solution versus this, which is like the pre-installed one.
Correct. I mean, for the two, it would it'd be a very different product. This is our pro solution to tune. No fan. This actually has a variable speed fan because we can't control what you put into it.
Yeah, so you need some sort of cooling. Yeah.
It's designed for heat dissipation. I mean, in most cases, depending on what drive you use, the fan may never have to turn on. But we do put a fan in it, so there is thermal protection. All of our solutions are designed, and this is very important, from our single drive solutions that are DIY or up to 8 terabytes with our drives inside. All of our solutions are designed so that there's no thermal throttling. The SSD is protected. I literally saw a product online that was a quasi knockoff where they had a disclaimer saying cannot be returned for temperature issues. And then they noted that it gets up to 75 degrees Celsius on its surface, which will burn you and potentially melt or scar your desktop. It's like, wow.
Not a good solution, exactly.
No, I mean, our product, it will never get, under full load, never get anywhere near that temperature. It's not good for the drive. it's not good for safety.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
for sure.
things can get warm, but that is, I mean, that 2 seconds you're burned. It's pretty crazy.
So I think, unless you tell me otherwise, we covered all your, not all your line of your products because you have a lot of others, but all the products that we have here, right?
We have actually 2 more. We have
okay, let's talk about them.
We have our 1M2 40 and our 1M2 Express 80. These are also DIY solutions. We do ship them with drives, or you can buy them and put your own drive inside. This is
How do you open this?
under the pads. There's, and we
There you screw them up.
correct. And then there's, you can control the LED, all that wonderful good stuff. But this product goes up to 8 terabytes with an OWC drive, or you can buy it 0 gigabyte.
This is a single.
This is a single drive. Once again, designed for really efficient
cooling,
cooling, so you never have to worry about your drive overheating, which is again very important both for at operating.
This is Thunderbolt 5 or USB 4?
These are USB 4, which we put them in a silver. We differentiate them with the color of the enclosure. These are USB 4. The 1M280 is USB 4 V2, so up to 6,000 megs a second, very similar performance to the Envoy Ultra. And then we have a 1M240, which operates up to, we see speeds up to about 3,700 megs a second from a single drive. So both drives are compatible with any USB equipped system. And of course, the 80 is just double the speed.
These are, again, already available in pricing.
These are shipping. The 1M240 currently has a street. This retails around $120. It's streeting around $95, $96 US.
Very affordable.
And then the 1M280 is currently at $219.
Okay.
So very reasonable when you consider the exceptional performance that you get in the palm of your hand. And you're putting, if you're building
it's
your
also
own.
beautifully made, I have to say, in terms of yeah. We'll do some B-rolls after that, but yeah.
Look, these are made, number one, to do the job of heat dissipation, and number two, to be exceptionally rugged. And it's
that's also
your data is something,
especially if you're in the field and
certainly
things fall, all sorts of things happen.
Stuff happens, but in our world, we want to make sure nothing happens to your drive.
Yeah,
so
sure.
This is, I mean, you can run this, and we have done this. You can run this over with a car.
Oh, really?
And your drive is still fine inside.
Don't try this at home.
It's not recommended, but all of these products, again, are built.
Extremely rugged. Yeah, this is all metal.
They aren't just rugged in name. We don't, put any fancy taglines on it. These drives are truly rugged, and they look it, they feel it. Nobody has to tell you that this thing can take a beating and keep on. Keep on keeping on and keeping your data absolutely safe.
Okay, so besides all these products.
Sure.
You had an interesting announcement, I think just before the show, if I'm not mistaken, of a cooperation that you have with Hedge. So maybe explain a little bit about this and maybe the background. You told me a little bit about this before.
Certainly. We got involved in, for actually a decade and a half, we've been manufacturing solid-state drives. And the memory cards, the camera cards, the SD and the CF Express cards are effectively SSDs, in a very slim, compact format. And a few years ago, customers were talking about their workflows and what was happening to cards after a few uses. And what they were doing with cards during projects because of the risk of data loss or, really frame loss or failure while they were shooting. And that kind of struck us as odd when you listened to how long they're using and why is this happening? And are these cars really going bad? And we're like, well, the first part was, we can build a car that's definitely going to last longer. And what we discovered was it wasn't so much a longevity issue or a wear issue. It was a matter of these cards, just through use, there's no trim interface on a camera or through USB. And the way data's gotten substantially faster, more complex coming from today's high resolution or high speed single shot cameras. And it creates an issue where there's cache inside the drives. And after a certain point, that cache becomes dirty.
Yeah.
And there's nothing helping the drive.
To manage it, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So we came in with the OWC Atlas ecosystem and Innergize, which allows you to, number one, check the health. So the card is just fine. It's not, my card is slowing down because of a problem. It's because, it just needs to be cleaned. The health is great. And then we offer the sanitize feature, which in less than 5 seconds provides a complete factory refresh of the card. What that means is every time you run sanitize, which just takes a few seconds, in addition to completely securely removing any data on the card, so make sure you've ingest before you do it, but it's great for security if you're renting or you're sharing equipment, any sorts of number of applications. There's a military use for our card. They actually certified it because they want to erase whatever's on that card. And that's a whole other area, but
But it's important for them, and it's probably important for other clients as well.
If it's good enough for them, it's certainly, I mean, when I say good enough, if they've certified it for that data destruction, it's, you know that nobody's going to, you're not actually going to leak that really cool footage or whatever it is that you're in the process of editing because somebody got that card.
Yeah.
But the sanitize feature, most importantly, resets it to the full factory original performance.
So that's what you've been doing, basically.
That is what our Ennergize software does, and that's became it's a very significant advantage of our card system. It also is something we give away for free. We do not make you pay for this.
Yeah, unlike some other companies. Yeah.
Unlike some other companies, certainly. This was a differentiating factor. Our company is founded around sustainability. We do things with long-term ROI, whether it's, and we have solar on it. We put this on-prem. I am not an advocate for solar and solar farms. I'm an advocate for solar on roof. We have wind on-prem. It's lossless for the most part when it goes to a site versus having to go to. We won't even get into that all that matter. But we do things for longevity. We build products that are recycled. We build products that last because a product. I don't care what you say about. I mean, if this $99 thing is built from, I don't know, if it's built from air. Well, nothing's built from air. But you have to replace it, in a year or two.
Yeah.
That is a far greater impact, no matter how recyclable.
Yeah.
No matter what recycled materials are in it, than having a product that lasts 5-7 years. So we really bring the best of everything together. And going back to these cars, we thought it was an absolute, travesty that folks are thinking their cars are going bad when they just have no way to clean them because most manufacturers do not provide software to provide a reset. Don't even provide software to do a health check. So, my card is starting to do some bad things. I'm going to put it up on the shelf. And
get another one.
Right. In certain productions, I mean, they got to, as a standard process, just a SOP, is we use our cars for one set and then we retire them because we can't take a risk of a card, failing during a shoot. But sanitize prevents that. Number one, you have the assurance that the card is healthy. There's tons of race cycles left. There's not anywhere near a point of failure, and it restores that full performance. So you're not at risk of that kind of situation in a shoot. And the third thing that Ennergize does is allows field firmware updates, user firmware updates.
Through the app, through the software, to the cards. Yeah.
And this is really slick because sometimes there's a firmware update for a camera you already have for your camera. And depending upon what they're changing, maybe they're adding a new mode that requires something different with respect to the actual, how the card needs to handle writing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a change, which happened a few years ago on a Blackmagic camera. The change is so significant that the card you have is no longer compatible with the current firmware, with how it now needs to interface with the card. So
it will stop working, doesn't it?
This happened.
Yeah,
this has happened.
Interesting.
Ennergize allows us to push you a firmware update so that you can take advantage of whatever that new setting is, take advantage of a bug fix or an update to your camera that may have otherwise, either eliminated or cause limitation of the compatibility with the card. And it's a win as well because in the past you have to go, I'm going to have to buy new cars, but what cards are compatible? Does this have that new update on it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure that a lot of people think about this actually.
These are things that don't happen often, but when they do, they can be a great inconvenience. Or hey, a new camera's come out, you get that new camera and you want to use the existing card,
it doesn't work.
And it may not work because of there's a lot, it's incredible. A decade ago, it was very easy to make these cars. When we decided to come into this space, we learned how very complex it is today.
Yeah, a lot of people that the end user doesn't necessarily think about, but you run into because you're actually making these cards and you face all these strange technical issues that people, sometimes come up with when they get a new camera or new firmware for a camera or something like that. So yeah, we were talking about the firmware updates that you can do and the fact that basically with some cameras you can actually have a firmware update that would change the way that the camera operates, and your card will basically stop working. And with the firmware update that you can do through your software, you can fix this basically.
Correct. And again, this has happened in the past before we even came into the market. Yeah. And it creates a lot of confusion because you don't even know if a camera card you're going to get off the shelf. You have to check, hey, what serial number start with this update?
Yeah.
It's a big inconvenience and hassle. You have our Atlas cards, they're updatable. When things change, we provide a free software update, free firmware update to our card that takes care of that compatibility. I mean, this is all our, like I said, talking about sustainability. We want our product running, long term. We want you to be able to use it for as long as it's used for life. We don't need to run it out of life, not the, oh, I got to put it on the shelf, all sorts of all that good stuff. And Hedge, more recently, this is a project that started about a year ago, came to us, and they have they have great ingest software. I mean, Offshoot allows people to have really good data transfer, multi-pathing on instant, duplication when you ingest off your cards.
It checks basically the data coming from the cards into the computer and make sure that everything that was on the card is going to be on your computer, on your drive.
Make sure there's checksumming to make sure there's, no bit damage. You can write to multiple destinations at the same time, which can save you, duplication efforts. You have redundancy before you. A lot of workflows, you'll ingest the card, you'll make sure you have a backup, and then you can recycle that card. That's why you have programs like Hedge, which in addition to doing all the verification, will save you that duplication effort. You're redundant right off the bat, confirms it, libraries it, all that fun stuff. So integrating Innergize, with their application became a really nice solution, so that instead of having to run, Innergize separately, now within Hedge, you can provide sanitize. We can provide firmware update even. We can provide health checks. So without having to leave your main application that you may be using, if you're using Offshoot, for the ingest, you also have all of the features that can support your card in one place, which is really, really slick for a workflow. It's always nice to have.
How is the integration working? It's one software
It's one software, and when it recognizes Atlas cards, it allows you to activate these other features. And we're the only company with that level of integration. We provide
it's streamlined. Instead of opening like two software, basically open one and
100%. And it's, again, I think it's fantastic. It's just that extra convenience. It's one of those, instead of having to be an extra application, you have to worry about launching, loading. You install Hedge Offshoot, you have Innergize, and you have Offshoot all in one place, and you can do everything you need to do with those camera cards very conveniently.
The Hedge it's not obviously your product, but is it a service like the Offshoot is a service that you pay like monthly, or you buy it one time, or how does it work?
Offshoot, I believe, offers both a license program, a renewal program, a subscription program, and a perpetual.
Okay, so basically your software is free, but theirs is obviously paid.
Right, theirs has always been paid. But now you can have our application, which again we provide independently at no cost
for free.
But using this software, you get it right within, and I think that's big. It's very. You see, this is very important, and they're compatible with our firmware updates as well. So even as we push on new firmware updates, they talk to our system, which brings in the same firmware updates you can get with their independent application. So you don't have, if you're using Offshoot, you can get all the features that we have built in Innergize. With the Innergize is now built into Hedge Offshoot, which is a fantastic benefit for these workflows. Because you want to sanitize the cards to clean the data and to keep them at maximum performance. And you want to know that your cards are healthy. So those two things are things that give peace of mind.
It makes sense to integrate the two things.
And that's to anybody. Whether you're a single user, these are things that help your workflow and save you from having
whether you're a single user, small production, or even obviously large productions.
100%. I know it's priced at a different scale, and it absolutely serves different scale. And at all scales, these are solutions that save you heartache and surprise because they keep everything running optimally and give you that confirmation that your data is good.
Fantastic. I think that we covered a lot of things in this interview, a lot of things. Thank you all. Thank you, Larry.
My pleasure.
And for all of you, don't forget to subscribe to LensVid for more videos from IBC and our reviews. See you in the next video.